If you ask a disagreeable person what he wants, say, or she wants, they'll tell you right away. They know. It's like, this is what I want and this is how I'm going to get it. But agreeable people, especially if they're really agreeable, are so agreeable that they often don't even know what they want, because they're so accustomed to living for other people and to finding out what other people want and to trying to make them comfortable and so forth, that it's harder for them to find a sense of their own desires as they move through life. And that's not, look, there's situations where that's advantageous, but it's certainly not advantageous if you're going to try to forge yourself a career. That just doesn't work at all. And so even though on average men and women aren't that much different in terms of their levels of agreeableness by the group, if you go out and you look at the extremes, they're very different. So all of the most agreeable people are women, and all of the most disagreeable people are men. And the thing is, the extremes are often what matter rather than what's in the middle. And so one of the ways that's reflected in society, by the way, is there's way more men in prison. And the best personality predictor of being imprisoned is to be low in agreeableness. It makes you callous. Now you may think, well, what's the opposite of compassion and politeness? And the answer to that is, I think it's best sort of conceptualized as a trading game. So let's say that we're going to play repeated trading games. And if you're very agreeable, then you're going to bargain harder on my behalf than you're going to bargain on your own behalf. Whereas if you're very disagreeable, you're going to do the reverse. You're going to think, I'm in this trading game for me, and you're going to take care of your own interests. Where an agreeable person is going to say, no, no, at best this is, at worst this has to be 50-50, but I'd like to help you every way I can. One of the things you have to be careful of if you're agreeable is not to be exploited, because you'll line up to be exploited. And I think the reason for that is because you're wired to be exploited by infants.
Guys, being too agreeable used to be a big issue for me in the past. It makes you a much easier target for people with no morals to take advantage of you. If you are that person that always likes to see the good in people, you are not going to be able to see through the lies others tell you to get you to lower your guard.
The other thing you might want to think about too if you're choosing a partner is try not to choose someone who's too distant from you on the temperamental variables, because you're going to have a hard time bridging the gap. You know, it's hard for an introverted person and an extroverted person to coexist. And it's really hard for an orderly person and a disorderly person to coexist, because they will drive each other nuts. It's like, why don't you pick up? Why are you so obsessed by it? That's the basic argument, you know. So it's useful to know about your temperament so that you can negotiate the space with your partner as well. And I don't think you should try to find someone who's exactly the same as you, because then you don't have the benefits of the alternative viewpoint. But you got to watch it, because you may hit irreconcilable differences of various sorts. And I've seen that most particularly among couples who are high and low in openness. That's a rough one. And also high and low in conscientiousness. That's another rough one, because they just cannot see how the other person sees the world at all.
Yeah, I have made that mistake a couple of times. Guys, I wouldn't recommend getting into a relationship with someone you don't share values and interests with. Once the honeymoon period is over and you guys have been together for a while, you might realize that you looked over some things that should have been deal breakers for you. Try not to rush things in life, and especially with relationships. Make sure you know what you're getting into before making lifelong commitments.
What nice guys do is what they suffer with is not that they're too nice or anything. It's just that they have incredibly weak boundaries when it comes to women. They simply are not just women. It could be anybody. What they do is they lack a lot of masculinity. And what they do is they blame the fact that they're so nice as to why they can't get women. But it's not about being nice. It's about a lack of masculinity. And one of the best ways to establish masculinity is placing boundaries, particularly with women. When you don't like a behavior, you don't roll over and allow it to continue and then give her more in order for you to get her. You set a boundary and you have a willingness to walk away. Nice guys, what happens is they don't like to exert their boundaries and they don't have a willingness to walk away. So what ends up happening is their nice nature becomes a reason for resentment, because women don't like it. They actually feel angry when you're too nice to them, because then they don't feel protected. They feel like you're weak. If you let a woman make all the decisions for you, she'll slowly start to hate you, because she'll feel like she has to raise you and she'll lose respect for you. So you're better. What we truly want is not a man that just is like chaotic. We just want a man who we can trust makes good decisions. He's not the nice guy. He's the one that we'll submit to. But the one that doesn't trust his own decision making and we have to do it, and he comes across as being nice, essentially he's seen as weak.
Yeah.